What's up guys, Hanish here, and today we've got some Destiny 2 new stuff to talk about. So Bungie actually give us some insights into Escalation Protocol and whether they may make some changes to this event in the future. I'll talk about that in a moment. On top of this though, we've got a breakdown of some of the exotic armor changes that we're going to be seeing in the update on the 29th of May. And some of these sound pretty cool, so we'll break down all of those. We've got a patch note preview for the update coming next week and a bunch of other stuff, so let's jump straight into it. First up, before we talk about exotic armor, Bungie reiterate that the Iron Banner is back this week, and of course they've added a reprised version of the map Bannerfall to the game. I haven't actually had the chance to play it in the Iron Banner. Played a few games and haven't found the map just yet, but they say next week it will become available in quick play, competitive and private matches, and you also may see it in trials this weekend, but we'll know for sure tomorrow, so it's going to be the trials map for this week. Let us know if you've managed to get in on the Bannerfall map this week though. Next, Bungie talk about the Escalation Protocol, and with all the kind of conversation, the feedback about it, they give some design insights. So they say, what were the design goals for the Escalation Protocol? Firstly, it was designed to be a high difficulty endgame activity for a max level 3-player fire team. Other players in the world can contribute to make it easier, but they shouldn't be required as long as your team is highly skilled and coordinated. We've received a lot of feedback since the original launch of Destiny 2 that players felt like reaching maximum power was not satisfying. There weren't enough activities that required and rewarded that level of commitment, and Escalation Protocol was designed to fill that gap. So the next question is, so this activity was not specifically designed for 9 players, and the answer, other than raid activities, all PvE activities and private spaces are optimized for 3 players to allow for multiple types of activities in one space. So no, it wasn't designed for it, but it's not a surprise that it's easier with 9 players, given how underleveled most of us are right now. We know that players would use the same creative workarounds to get 9 players into a space similar to Court of Oryx, but we did not specifically tune the difficulty around requiring that many players. So here's the important question, are there any plans to enable larger fire teams in the future? And they say we've had a lot of conversations here about what to do to answer the community's feedback. We're going to continue to monitor as more players progress up to max power and are able to attempt Escalation Protocol at the difficulty it was designed for, and will determine what, if any, action is necessary. We also hear players are really enjoying large groups of players fighting against enemies, so we'll use that feedback to inform our future plans. So that's where Bungie kind of stand at the minute. They aren't going to talk about any changes to Escalation Protocol just yet. Like I've said before, I believe 9-player matchmaking would be really cool for this. Obviously they're saying it's designed for 3 players and it's supposed to be very, very difficult, and of course it is very, very difficult. Basically they're holding on until many more players are closer to that max level to see what kind of happens in patrol, and I kind of understand that, but there are of course other shortfalls with Escalation Protocol and its design in a few ways, so you'll have to let me know what you guys think about that and what Bungie should do. But now let's move on to the exotic armor updates. So they say with the release of update 1.2.1, we're updating 6 pieces of exotic armor, 2 for each class, and we'll be updating more in the future. Please note that any mechanical changes are in addition to the already established effects unless explicitly stated otherwise. So jumping straight into it, for the Titan we have the Syntheseps. So for mechanical changes, previously the perk adjusted your melee damage depending on the number of enemies surrounding you. Now it grants a flat bonus to melee and super damage when you're surrounded by 3 or more enemies, and the buff is retained for a short duration after you are no longer surrounded. So it's going to change melee and super damage, and essentially is going to last longer. And they say although Syntheseps has gotten a fair bit of love in the Crucible, players are often focused on the increased lunge rate. The outgoing damage bonus was hard to appreciate and plan around with it being so variable in nature, and with this change you will feel the impact more often and in all scenarios, particularly in PvE. So that'll be interesting, I'm definitely for those kind of buffs. They also want to talk about the Lion Rampants. So for mechanical changes, they say you can hipfire while lift is active without interrupting it, and your aerial hipfire doesn't have an aerial accuracy penalty. So that is actually pretty interesting. Of course, if you fire a weapon when you're kind of gliding, you are going to break that glide as a Titan normally, but with the Lion Rampants this will no longer be the case, and you won't have any kind of accuracy penalties that you would normally see while moving in the air. and that is of course for the hipfire. And they say that the Lion Rampant was focused around lift and how it impacts your playstyle and tactics, so we decided to push further in that direction, emphasizing fast moving aerial assault. So I think that's sounding pretty good, guys. Let me know what you think below. Next though, they talk about the Hunter, so they're going to be changing the Dragon's Shadow. Now dodging will reload all weapons simultaneously, and the effects of Wraith Metal Mail will also include a bonus to mobility. So every single weapon that you've actually got equipped will be reloaded simultaneously, plus you get a bit of bonus mobility when you actually use that perk. And they say that although the Dragon's Shadow does have a small following, we want to make it more useful in a general sense under even more neutral conditions while keeping the theme of a fast moving ninja. So I think that one's sounding pretty good as well. For the Mechanic Trick Sleeves though, there will be a mechanical change where swapping to a sidearm while critically wounded greatly increases its damage. And they say that they went for the fantasy of a holdout weapon, the pistol tucked into your sleeve that you pull out in an emergency to save you. These changes should let you turn around and fight more easily. So whenever critically wounded at very low health, you will be able to swap to a sidearm that will get greatly increased damage. So they're talking about it being pretty significant right there. That sounds absolutely awesome. There'll be plenty of hunters turning on people in the Crucible. It could also have its PvE moments as well, of course. But then for the Warlock, we've got a change for the Lunafaction boots. So Rift Reload is automatic instead of being activated on entry and exit, and empowering Rift makes weapons more effective at extending ranges. So the reload will be automatic. You won't have to actually go in and out of the Rift in order to activate it. Also having bonus range will be pretty interesting. They say that players having to dip in and out of a Rift reload their weapons was not consistent with other Rift effects, particularly with overshield effects on Healing Rift. It's been made automatic to be easier to understand and use. This is a more offensive choice in terms of Rift exotics, and we also want to further reward players who want to double down with an empowering Rift instead of playing it safe with a Healing Rift. So that is also sounding pretty interesting. Then we have the Sunbracers though. The mechanical change includes the original effect being replaced with an increased duration of solar grenades, and solo melees will grant unlimited solar grenade energy for a brief period of time. So they will actually last longer, those solar grenades. Melee kills will grant unlimited solar grenade energy for a brief time. So I'm not sure how that is going to work, maybe a couple of seconds where you basically can just throw, 2-3 grenades in a row. They say that while effective under some circumstances in terms of things like flat damage output with your solar grenade, the Sunbracers didn't feel flashy enough for gloves where your hands are perpetually on fire, so while retaining the original flavour of the solar grenade exotic armour, we scaled up the potential output significantly to give the player a strong taste of power on a more frequent basis. So that is also sounding pretty good, guys. I think all of these changes are very promising. I'm liking that there are mechanical changes there and some things that feel pretty significant. Let me know what you guys think about those down below. Personally, I'm pretty excited, and of course, further down the road we will get more exotic armor sandbox changes. For now though, I think it's sounding pretty promising that we're getting a few good updates. Next week though, there of course will be the update where we get all of these changes, and there is a patch note preview right here. So this is just a few of the items, but they say they fixed an issue where players would lose glory rank points for leaving a match too soon after the match ends. An issue where the Clan XP milestone was not granting a powerful reward, so that Clan XP issue is now going to be fixed. A problem where Vanguard boons would block progression of strike specific quests and milestones, so that's going to be fixed as well. And a problem where Shriekers would close too quickly during Warsat public events, thus blocking players' ability to trigger a heroic event, issues where Callous shields required too much damage to break after the update, and problems with the long load times for Iron Banner on PC. They also say they are still working on the item equip being disabled inside of the API, and hopefully there's going to be some workarounds for that soon. But a final thing to shout right here from this week at Bungie is that there will be a Bungie versus Vicarious Visions stream. So this will be on May the 30th at 11 AM PDT, and that's over on Bungie's Twitch channel as well as the Vicarious Visions Twitch channel. Basically, those guys are going to be playing each other, so that could be interesting. You never know what kind of insights we might get, so you can tune into that if you want to. On the subject of Escalation Protocol, there is a way that you can actually farm the Escalation Protocol bosses. So I just wanted to point this out for any of you guys who are actually currently running this. I believe you can do this on any of the Escalation Protocol bosses, but there's a way that you can kill the boss and then get immediately back to level 6. Pretty simple, but maybe a little bit tricky. So essentially what you have to do is kill the final boss on wave 7 precisely when the timer hits 0. Like I said, it's a little bit tricky. It isn't impossible by any means. It kind of relies on you getting a bunch of DPS early on so that you can get the boss really low health, and then you'll know that, you know, a Celestial Nighthawk and a Nova Bomb or something will actually finish him off. But if you get it right and you kill the boss precisely on 0 seconds, you will get event complete. The boss is going to die, you'll get all of the normal drops and everything like that. That is with the exception of the chest for the armor. So of course you'll probably want to make one normal clear to get your armor. But basically what this is going to do is trick the Escalation protocol into being able to start at wave 6 once again, just as though you'd failed the previous round. So if you see that notification, the darkness holds steady when you actually take the boss down, that means you'll be able to activate wave 6 again, clear that one, and get another run at the boss, and I guess you can just keep doing this if you want to. This is going to give you a chance at the weapon drops. So just a quick shout out to that. Of course, it takes a while to get folks together, so it may be worth doing this a couple of times at least. But now that we've actually seen the 3 unique bosses that drop unique weapons, of course, the first weapon and the first boss is Nur Abath. I believe that's how you say that. Of course, you get the Ikelos shotgun, my personal favorite. I do have a video about all of these weapons that you can check out. Then the SMG will come from the week 2 boss, and this is Cathok. I never quite know how to say these names. But then we have this week's boss, which we've just seen, and that is, of course, Damkath. And this is where you get the sniper rifle. I'm still grinding to actually pick one up. Did make a video about it though, it's a pretty cool weapon. I'll link that one down below. Either way, that means the next 2 bosses we get will be able to drop any weapon from the Escalation protocol. So especially with players reaching higher levels, hopefully more folks will actually be able to tackle this in patrol. And if that's the case over the next couple of weeks, it will be worth farming them to get a bunch of different weapons dropped. But I just thought I'd break that down for you guys nonetheless. Anyway guys, that is going to summarize this video. A lot of stuff to talk about. Let me know your thoughts on any of that Escalation protocol stuff, or in particular the exotic armor changes. I think they're sounding pretty exciting. If you have enjoyed the video though, a like is very much appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe to see a lot more Destiny 2 content. For now though, I will catch you guys very soon.